More Pacific rugby players are coming out and supporting Wallaby player Israel Folau following his controversial social media posts based on his Christian beliefs. Former Auckland student Wallaby Taniela Tupu, known as the Tongan Thor, has now suggested on social media that Rugby Australia might as well sack all Pacific players as it prepares to terminate Folau's contract. It comes after online backlash to an Instagram post by another Wallaby, Samu Kareve, on Easter Sunday, saying he loves Jesus Christ. Former Wallaby and current coach of Tonga, Toutai Kefu, says he stands by Israel Folau 100%, but says he chose the wrong platform to express his Christian faith. He told our reporter Alex Perrottet that Rugby Australia is faced with a tricky balancing act.
When I played, my faith was something that I kept to myself. I always prayed before I played. I always prayed afterwards. So that's something I did by myself, and then the players around me gave me space so that I could do that. I suppose the biggest difference between then and now is obviously the social media platforms that they have I suppose, to let people know what their faith is. And I suppose there's a policy. There was no policy back then, but I suppose with social media now there is a policy about giving your views or your opinions about your faith. And I don't know what that policy is with Rugby Australia, but I suppose we're going to see the fallout of that, I suppose, in the coming days.
How do you feel personally about Israel Folau's posts? He wears his faith on his sleeve, but in a sense he's not afraid of offending people about what he says, what he considers his Christian beliefs. Do you think he should have communicated those beliefs in that way?
I believe he has a right to communicate those. I stand by him 100%. Now, obviously, there's a policy there somewhere between the individual and Rugby Australia about those about what to post up on those platforms. I don't know what that policy is, but there's an agreement there, and if he's breached that, I suppose that needs to be discussed.
Yeah, many pressures on Rugby Australia at the moment. They're in a bit of a bind. I mean, they really rely from, I guess, even before your time, Toutai Kefu, and we had Willie Off-Ngalwe and people like that who were really, really strong Pacific players in the team. Now that we seem to be, or at least the Wallabies, you can hear the Australian we coming out of my question there, but relying a lot more on Pacific rugby players. You wouldn't like to be Raelene Castle at the moment, would you?
No, you wouldn't. It's a touchy subject. I remember there was an issue going back a couple of years where guys were having the cross on their strapping around their wrists, and that went on for a lot of years before I think someone actually mentioned that. And I don't know whether they stopped that or not, but I still see a few players have that emblazoned across that strapping on their wrist.
You're a Christian. Are you offended by what Israel said?
I am a Christian, but we belong to different church. I'm not offended, but I have my own beliefs, and then he has a right to speak his mind, as I have a right to speak my mind. Whether he uses what type of platform he uses to do that, I think is what Rugby Australia are in disagreement with.
Taniela Tupu, the Tongan Thor, has come out saying, well, you might as well sack all of us. What do you make of that sentiment?
Well, again, I think if that's the case, look, I love the unity and the Tongans, they will stick together. It's a hard one, actually, and I know there's been a lot of support for Israel Folau over this, but yeah, look, I'm not too sure what to think of it because there could be some consequences down the track. So the timing of it's certainly not ideal.
And finally, what about the approach he's taken to put the contract and rugby all out to the side? If he's a man who's trying to evangelise, he's trying to spread his faith. How do you go about spreading your faith and converting other people by alienating so many people? Is it wise what he did?
Look, for me personally, I don't think it was wise. I think it's the wrong platform. I think if he wanted to preach, he should go to church and preach and use that platform. I think we're all the Islanders are all 99% of us are Christians, and we don't have the same views as Izzy, but I feel he probably used the wrong platform and maybe could have used others.
Toutai Kefu talking to Alex Perrottet.